Welcome to the Padded Pedal Room with your host, Mr. DiMarzio. Hi everybody, and welcome to the Padded Pedal Room. I'd like to take this moment to thank Kenneth Russell. You're a rock star. I really appreciate your shout outs. I also like to take this opportunity to thank all the subscribers and new subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you. In this episode of the Padded Pedal Room, we're going to take a look at the poor man's wet dry rig. What is a wet dry rig? A wet dry rig is a rig where you have one amplifier receiving a dry signal from your guitar and the wet amplifier receiving your wet signal, which is basically a signal with modulations, delays, reverbs. So let's just take a look here at the signal path. The guitar is coming into the wah pedal, which is going to the tuner, which is going to the drive. These three pedals are going into the splitter. So all these pedals are going to both the wet and the dry amplifier. The splitter is taking the dry signal and going to the Joyo British, which is a preamp pedal or an amp in the box type pedal, which emulates Marshall style amps. So my dry signal, I have the drive up a little. I like to have a bit of some hair on the dry signal to have a little bit of character. Now, our wet signal is coming out of the Big Shot, going into our modulation. In this case, we are using a chorus pedal, the Neo clone from Electro-Harmonix. From here, we go to the Joyo American, which is another preamp pedal. So our wet amplifier has a Fender style preamp or amp in the box. So we are emulating a Fender sound for that second amplifier. And from here we are going to our analog delay, the Electro-Harmonix memory toy, and to a 63 Fender Reverb boss pedal. That is the signal path to the amplifiers. I'm using both Vox MV50 Cleans. These settings are set exactly identical on both amplifiers. Now if we listen, this is both amps. If you're wearing headphones, you're going to notice that the dry amp is coming through the left signal, and the wet amp is coming out of the right headphone. So that's the dry signal. Here's the wet signal. Now, by having a wet-dry setup, you'll notice it permits you to put a very thick and lush wet signal while keeping the guitar integrity with the dry signal. So you can really exaggerate modulations and delays and reverbs when you have a wet-dry setup, because you still get the integrity and the clarity of your guitar signal through your dry signal. So the two of them together. Now, as I mentioned before, the drive stage goes to both the wet and dry signal. So let's just see here. If we put the drive on, we got it going to both. the most important part of your wet-dry rig is your splitter. In this case, I'm using a Radial Big Shot A splitter. Now, it doesn't matter what brand or what type of splitter you're using. The important part to this is that you have a splitter where you can isolate your signal, where you have phase inversion. You can invert the phase to make sure that your speakers are pushing in the correct direction. You also want to have a ground lift on there because with a setup like this, you could end up having a ground loop. So by having a splitter which can do this, it avoids many of the issues that you could face with a wet-dry setup. So let's give it a listen with modulation now. Everything here was relatively inexpensive. The Joyo pedals are sub $50 pedals. The Neo clones, similar price range. The Super Overdrive, similar price range. The other pedals cost a little bit more, but still, for what they are relatively inexpensive pedals. So that is a basic overview of a poor man's wet-dry rig. I hope this helped some of you. I'd like to once again thank Kenneth Russell for his shout out in his video. It is very much appreciated. I'd like to thank all of the subscribers and all the viewers. I'm going to take a page out of Kenneth's book. If you're still watching right now, you're a rock star. So I thank all of you very much. I hope this helped you. If any of you have questions regarding the wet-dry setup, send me a comment. It'll be my pleasure to answer you. See you next time.